Unit 6, Day 3 work. So in here we're going to graph inequalities, but we're not just going to graph it on a number line, we're going to graph it on a coordinate plane. Okay, so as you go through these warm-up slides, just understand we got to know the slope and the y-intercept. So if we remember back from Unit 4, the slope is that number in front of x. Remember, if there's an x here and we don't see a number, it's implied to be a 1. In this case, I see that -4. The y-intercept is the number on the end here, the integer, with no variable. If there's no number there, then that's assumed to be a 0. So in this case, it's a 2. Here, what's the slope? What's the number in front of m? So 8/9. Here, what's the y-intercept? What's this? Now, if this has a negative, you got to treat that there too. So -10/3. Okay, so now we're asked to do it in reverse. Here we have the slope and the y-intercept. We want to write the equation. So now I see the slope's -2. I'm going to put that where the m is. So -2x. I see the y-intercept is 5. So I'm going to put +5. Okay. Down here for the slope, I see it's 3/4. So I'm going to write 3/4 x. And then I see the y-intercept for -2/5. Okay, so again, here we have the slope and the y-intercept. We wrote the equation. The previous slide we were given the equation and we wrote the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, this you have to still remember how to do. How do we graph the slope and the y-intercept on the graph? So first off, what does it tell me the slope is? So I'm going to look here and count. Remember, it's rise over run. So I go down 1, 2, 3. I go right 2. So that's like -3 over +2. So that's my slope, -3/2. For my b, my y-intercept, I'm looking for the value of this point. So I count down, -1, -2, -3, -4. And now I have the slope and y-intercept. I can write the whole equation line. So -3/2 x minus 4. Boom. And that's my equation for the line. Okay? Now, the x and y-intercept, we do use these, but they're not as critical. Just remember that the y-intercept is on the y-axis and the x-intercept is on the x-axis. And what the x-intercept means is what is the value of x when y is 0? The y-intercept means what's the value of y when x is 0. So that being said, let's make sure we understand our lines as a review from the lesson 1 and 2. So this is a less than or equal to sign, which means we'd have a closed dot and the arrow would go to the left. This is a less than sign, so we'd have an open circle with the arrow to the left. This is a greater than sign, so we'd have an open circle with the arrow to the right. And this is a greater than or equal to because there's a closed circle with the arrow to the right. It's important that we know these on the line graph. Now here we just have some practice problems from the previous units. So this just says, what kind of dot would we use? Well, it's an or equal to, so it'd be filled in. So we put a closed circle here. It has an or equal to sign, right? And now you just want to label your number line. I like to go one above and one below. You need something other than just your boundary point. So here, now this is a less than or equal to, so just like we just reviewed, that arrow has to go to the left, and technically it goes forever. So every single number that exists below 6 is a solution, and because this is an or equal to, so is 6. All right, just to review that a little more, this is going to be an open circle because it has no or equal to sign. So now I'm going to put a -2 here. Make sure to label this correctly. Remember, if I'm going up from -2, it's -1. Going down from -2, it's -3. So I go open circle at -2. Its x is greater than, so greater than, arrow to the right. All right, 2 more practices with this. So again, right away, you should know it's filled in because it has an or equal to sign. And now, because it has that or equal to sign, I put that at -3. Going up from -3 is -2. Going down from -3 is -4. It's a closed circle. Since it's a greater than, arrow to the right. All right, last one of these practices. So here I see it's at 2. Again, 1 up from 2 is 3. 1 down from 2 is 1. It's going to be an open circle. Again, why? It has no or equal to sign. And now, since its x is less than 2, we're going to do an arrow to the right. Okay? All right. Now, on that whole slide and on all of that, that was on a number line, but we can also do this on a graph. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at here with this. So, in this sense, when we have just a greater than or less than, we're going to have this dashed or dotted line. And what that means is that the points on the line are not solutions. When we have or equal to, it's going to have a solid line, and that means that the points on the line are solutions, okay? So to kind of tie that together, a greater than or equal to would have a closed circle with the arrow going to the right, so you'd shade above the line with a solid line, because a greater than, you shade above the line, okay? Next, you'd have here is an open circle, so that's got to be a greater than, but with no or equal to. And then you need to shade above the line with a dotted line. Okay. Then this is a less than or equal to, so you need a solid closed circle, arrow going to the right, which means you need a solid line shading below. And then lastly, a greater than sign, a less than sign, open circle, arrow to the left, which means it'd be a dotted line and you'd shade below the line. So notice here, 3x minus 2. You do need to remember how to graph this with the y-intercept and the slope. So the y-intercept here is the -2, so we go down 2. There's my point, and the slope is 3. So we go up 1, up 2, up 3. Remember, that's like 3 over 1, right 1. Notice the slope is the same. But what's different here, and the y-intercept is the same, this is a dotted line because this just has an or equal, does not have an or equal to sign, it's just a greater than. And then we shade above the line because it's greater than. So everything up here, all of these points I'm putting, those are solutions to this inequality, okay? And anything on the line is not a solution because it's a dotted line, and anything on this side is not a solution because it's not in the shaded region. On this side, the only solutions are the points on the line. So that's the big difference between the equation versus the inequality. Okay, the shaded region is called the solution or the solution set, and this line is called the boundary line. Okay, so here it asks me to mark 3 points that are solutions of the graph in blue. So like blue, blue, blue. All right, and now let's pick 2 points that are not solutions, green, green. Right? Anything in this region. The only thing tricky at all is if it's a solid line, then points on the line are solutions. If it's a dotted line, they are not. Okay, so then we basically just need to know what to do here. So let's go through 2 examples here, and then you can do the rest, and that'll be your practice. So here, I need to graph the boundary line, so I need to decide, is it solid or dotted? Where do I shade? What's the slope? What's the y-intercept? And then graph it correctly. So here, I don't see a number in front of x, so that's an implied slope of 1. I see the -2 for the y-intercept. Excuse me. And then my line, well, this is just a greater than. So dotted line, what kind of symbol do we have? Greater than, so I'm going to shade above. Okay, so now I'm going to start by graphing the y-intercept at -2. So down 2, I put my point. Slope is 1. So remember, that's like 1 over 1. So I put 1 over 1, and I'm going to do it a few times here. Now I need a dotted line because there was no or equal to here. So I go dotted line. And then the shading, I put arrows on the end, and because it was a greater than, I shade above the line. So that's what that should look like. And anything up here, all these points would be solutions. Anything down here would not be a solution. If it's on the line, it is not a solution here because it's a dotted line. Okay? So those should look like. We'll do one more example here, and that'll be it. And then you do want to do screens 20, 21, 22, 23, 26, 27 for your practice. So here, I see my slope, it's 1/2. I see my y-intercept, it's 1. I see it's a solid line because I have the or equal to there, and I need to shade below. So now I need to graph it. And again, I'm shading below because it's less than. So I'm going to graph a y-intercept at 1. Now I need a slope of 1/2. So I can go up 1, right 2. Up 1, right 2. Up 1, right 2. Okay? Because it was an or equal to, it's going to be a solid line. I put arrows on the end. And then it's a less than. So I shade below the line. So anything down here would be a solution. Anything on the line would also be a solution because it's a solid line. Above the line would not be a solution. Hope this helps.